thank you so much to the leadership of the Eastern Reef for having deemed it fit to bring me here to come and be a part of what God is doing this side of the world. Because I know God is working, of course, He's doing some stuff in here. So I feel so much honored. It's a privilege for me to be here and come and participate exactly in what God has already been doing this side of the world. And I appreciate the fact that I'm not all by myself this weekend. I'll be with somebody that I admire the most. I look up to him in as far as some other issues of life are concerned. And I'm grateful that the two of us will be here over this weekend with Mr. Unati Kamla. Thank you so much for this. I'm not going to be wasting time. Of course, time is of great essence tonight, and I believe throughout the seminar. And I will right away delve into that which we have to be talking about here tonight. The theme being developing Christ-like character in a changing world. I think it's a very wonderful theme that we're also looking at the fact that the world that we're part of is a changing world. It's not a static world. It's a world that's changing. Right? So the development has got to take that into cognizance. That it's not just developing a character, but it is ensuring that it is within the context of a world that's evolving, a world that's changing. If you can look back at how things used to be some 30 years or so ago and look at what things and how things are today, you really will tell that things or the world is evolving at a very rapid pace today than it was before. And I will not really waste much time. We're going to go straight into that which is ahead of us to look into the fourth industrial revolution. When I spoke to somebody about the fact that I'm going to be speaking about the fourth industrial revolution, this mama said to me, was there ever a second? Because she said to me, it is the first time I hear about the fourth industrial revolution, fourth. And she said, was there ever the second or the third or the first? I don't think there ever was, but how can just the fourth industrial revolution? Where was the second and the first? Anybody here who say, was there ever the second? Oh, lovely. So I can take my seat. If there's nobody raising his hand up, we seem to be knowing what this is all about. Right. So a bit of a preview in terms of the things to look at. I'll spend a bit of time in looking at the historical background of the fourth industrial revolution. Of course, covering exactly what I've spoken about, the first, the second, and the third, so that we get to understand and appreciate the fact that we're now talking about the fourth. Right? Because we can't talk about the fourth when we have not appreciated or recognized or acknowledged the fact that there was the third, the second, and the first. Whether I was there or not, but there was the first, the second, and the third. So we'll take a bit of time into just that. We'll look at a brief definition about what exactly this 4.0 IR is all about. And one of the very important things to look at, and I got this in the brief that I got before coming to speak here, that what is God or the Bible saying about this, if anything at all. And I think all of us are looking to hear if there's anything that God talks to us about that does touch issues that are talking about 4.0 IR, if anything at all. We'll look a bit about that as well, and as to whether God is silent or he's saying something about the 4.0 IR. Some challenges, it won't be a comprehensive list of the challenges, but a few of those challenges that we're going to look at, and importantly and very lastly, look at some suggestions or recommendations in terms of what is it that we can do going forward now that we have this whole thing called the fourth industrial revolution that is upon us. One of a German theologian by the name Christoph Skobel spoke something very important here that, and I quote, humans are constantly in need to find orientation in their specific situation, to ask where they come from and where they might be going to make the present in some way transparent to them. And I think for me, what's critical here is the fact that we need from time to time to find an orientation about specific situations where we are. In this context, we're talking about, of course, the fourth industrial revolution. okay, to be oriented ourselves about exactly what this is all about, right? And to look at where we come from as a people, and importantly so, not just where we come from, but where we might be going to. Because if we don't take into cognizance where we might be going to, we may struggle to prepare for that if we do not look into exactly where we are headed for. And having spoken about the present, making sure that it is in some way transparent to us. It has to be transparent to us. Otherwise, we may become irrelevant. We may not even know where we are. And I think it's a good time then to bring the person that one may say he characterized the time that we act, the fourth industrial revolution, Professor Klaus Schwab, who is the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. And I must say that the man I spoke about, Mr. Kamlana, is a member there, right? I thought you'd just clap your hands to hear that. And I'm humbled to be speaking here where there is an audience about this subject. Very much grateful, and I'm humbled. Thank you so much. So here's what Mr. Klaus said about this very present time. And he said we are in the beginning, or at the beginning of a revolution. Everybody say revolution. Revolution. Come on, say one more time, revolution. Revolution. Now he says we are at the beginning. At the beginning. So we haven't moved at all. It hasn't gone anywhere that much, because he says we are at the beginning of a revolution. There's some critical things I want you to note about the traits or the characteristics about the revolution he's talking about. And he sums it up in the following words. He says this revolution is going to fundamentally change the way we live, the way we work, and the way we relate to each other. So there's no way we can ignore such a revolution, can we? No. There's no way. If there's something coming, in fact, not only coming, but already here. It's here, it's coming, it's both in one. There's more to come, but part of it is already here. If something is here and still is to come, and it is promising to fundamentally change how we live, how we work, how we relate with each other, it means we have to take a pause and look at what that is. Can I invite you on just that note to appreciate the Eastern Reef leadership for pulling this here for a discussion. Shall we please? It's a very important thing, and I want to believe and hope that it is the beginning of the many other installments and episodes going forward of the discussion about this. Because it's a very important discussion that's spoken about in every boardroom, in every section of the world from time to time, because it is eminent, it is upon us. First Chronicles chapter 12, verse number 32, talks about the fact of understanding the times. Understanding the times. Say with me, understanding the times. Understanding the times. Talk to your neighbor and say, neighbor, you need to understand the times in which you live. Now, the verse further continues to say, when you understand the times, I believe, in which you live, you will then know what to do. Okay, it says, it talks about the sons of the men of Issachar who understood the times, and because of their understanding of the times, they would know what Israel should do. So there's a connection there. Can you pick that up? There's a connection there. So the latter cannot be realized until the former is. You have to understand the times. In the understanding of the times flows spontaneously the knowledge of what one should do. Okay? So in our dispensation as this generation, it is very critical for ourselves to take time to understand the times, so that like the sons of Issachar who would know what Israel should do, we too would know what they change and we part of are supposed to be doing going forward. A quick brief into the historical background. of the Industrial Revolution, the fourth one that we're talking about. And like I said earlier, we can't talk about the fourth without looking to the fact that there was the third, there was the second, and there was also the first one before the fourth. A quick look into it. Back in the early 17th century, there was the first industrial revolution that started, and to justify that it was a revolution being the first, it is because at the time it was the time of the agrarian dispensation, wherein we were farming and doing all sort of stuff, and then this one had to come in, ensuring that there is an invention of steam machines were invented at the time to make sure that as water is pulled out of the mines, it is done in a better machinery at that time. But because people always find better ways to do life, always find civilized ways to do things that they used to do before, to do them in a better way going forward. Then came, of course, then the second industrial revolution, which is marked by a mass production and the electricity. You'll remember back in 1960s where Henry Ford came up with the Ford car. Anybody remember that? Okay, anybody remember that? Okay, don't answer what's not asked. The question again. Anybody remember that? You don't? You don't remember? Okay. So you probably read about it in history or something. Good. He read about it. So Henry Ford came up with that, which was, I want to call it the pinnacle of the second industrial revolution, were made. In fact, when you read up a bit, you are told that in 32 seconds one car will be made because of just that. You see, it revolutionized how things were done at the time. It revolutionized issues around production at the time. Think about a car in 32 seconds at that time. Okay, but then came the third revolution, third industrial revolution rather, which was then seen by the electronics, the IT and automation. That's where your computer comes in, that's where your internet comes in. And I remember back in the 90s, I was right, when I first heard about something called internet. And I remember we had some meetings to try and understand what is the internet, what is the whole thing all about. And I must stop and tell you something. I don't know if some of you did what I'm going to tell you. We did at the time, and because of ignorance, not knowing what this was all about. I remember that myself, and I was led by some other elderly folks at the time, who said there must be a demon in this whole internet thing. I mean, our forefathers never told us about it. So where is it coming from? You know, we keep to that. Anything that our forefathers never spoke to us about, it must have a demon in it. I don't know, but we have that. You know, and so is the case with many other inventions that came. Your WhatsApp, for example. And I remember the same story. WhatsApp, there are devils in these things. Anybody who has ever heard or said that? Okay. I won't sift it any further. It's okay. So you either have said it or have heard people saying it. Let me see you. Can I sift it further? Who said that? No. Now you can see that every time we have changes which revolutionize the way things are done, we always have a bit of a rigidity to say, what is this about? I mean, should we follow, shouldn't we? And we want to see what other people are doing or saying or responding towards it. Then we almost take our cues from what other people are doing or saying. Okay, so the third industrial revolution, we saw that with the computing age, if you want to call it. It was a computing age, and some would call that even the information age, the age wherein information became to be galore. You will not struggle to get to know about things, but the challenge would then be that there would actually be information overload instead, because there was too much of it. All right, now I think it was in 2016, when the founder and the executive chairman of the World Economic Forum began to coin and for the first time spoke about this word called the fourth industrial revolution, to say it is upon us, and it is important that we get to know about it and we start following it, studying about it, and ensuring that we participate in the development thereof as well. Okay, so the fourth industrial revolution is more like a convergence of your cyber, your physical, and the systems, right? So the three are coming together. You would struggle actually to even separate the systems or the devices from the people. It's a bit blurry there. You struggle to say, okay, nango mundo, nango chi. Can I prove that to you? Can I prove that to you? Okay, can I see here by show of hands those who in the last 24 hours never had their device? Please don't laugh at me. Can I see by show of hands those who in the last 24 hours never had their device? And not only that, but they cool, they find, they're at peace. You know, so you see, you can't seem to survive without a phone. So the industrial or the fourth industrial revolution talks about just that conversions, that we struggle to live without it. You can't separate a human being from the devices these days. They are almost just but one. Okay? Right. Now, here's how he describes it. He says the fourth industrial revolution is a world where individuals move between digital domains and offline reality with the use of connected technology. Keywords there will be the fact that these are connected technologies to enable and manage their lives. Okay? So it means we cannot be enabled or manage our lives effectively without the connectivity or the connectedness of these various technologies. Not just one, various technologies. You have a cell phone near your door, you still feel that you need an iPad. Anybody who share that? You have a cell phone, but you say it's not enough. Come on, look at me well, Pena. Anybody who had a phone, but you had a feeling that phone is just not enough, you added another one being an iPad or a tablet. Can I see you? No, I need to see you because when we are done, we are going to pray for you. So. Unless if you don't want to be the recipient of prayer. Okay, let me see you. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. We'll pray for you when we are done. Now, let me see those who say, after having added either a tablet or an iPad, I still want to get a MacBook or whatever laptop. Oh, we're going to pray when we're done here, and I see some other people. We're going to pray. So that is just to show that we seem to be struggling a bit. Okay? We cannot just survive. We are not enabled to manage our lives without various devices. Can I add? With all that, you are in your car and you use the GPS there, and you still have it. From one of the devices. But you add on the fourth one as you drive for convenience. You use the one that's right there in the car. Can I see you? Yes, 4, Pena, little much. I'm counting. Yes, 4. Right? So it is very important that we take cognizance of the age where we at. What marks or stands out in the fourth industrial revolution is exactly that. The conversions of the physical, the biology, put it together to ensure that you just are struggling to survive without relying on one of these other elements. You struggle with it. And we understand that some parts of the world, of our world, still are struggling with the second. They have not even migrated to the third. Parts of our country, of our world, still don't have access to the internet. Now, how do you talk about the reality of the third industrial revolution when they still are struggling with the accessibility of the same revolution? Now, you talk about the fourth, that's something, because the fourth is building on the very infrastructure of the third. So the third had to become the foundation of some sort. It had to go ahead and build some infrastructure, build some platform so that the fourth can live and survive and even grow bigger and better from what the third revolution came up with. The internet being one of those, automation being one of those, right? So it's important that we get to know what this is all about, and importantly, of course, how do we survive ourselves around this? A number of fields that get to mark or that get to ensure that the 4.0 IR has its focus on them are the following. And I will not be able to find time to go through all of this, but you have the robotics. And I'll come back to robotics in a short while. I'll show you something to make sense to robotics so that you know that even though this is at its infant stage, if you like, but there's more to come. So we better know about it while now and what it does, and importantly, what it is capable of doing and what is the future outlook is like going forward about robotics. The IoT, Internet of Things, I'll come back to this as well, and I'll come back to the autonomous vehicles. But biotechnology, quantum computing, 3D printing, material science, and all this. Look at this one, artificial intelligence. Right? So it's not just natural intelligence that we are fostering. This age will also put upon us to think about ways to foster the artificial intelligence as well. Let's come up a bit. Here's what's going to be happening. In this era, we will see much growth economically. We will see much growth economically. And when I looked at this, I said to myself, and I was talking to myself, can I share with you what I said to myself? Can I? Okay, that's what I said to myself. And I said, if there's going to be a real growth exponential in as far as the economy of the world is concerned, I want a share. That was just me, eh? Maybe I confess, but that was just me. Anybody who say the same thing as well? I saw a hand there. Must come allow with hook up, dude. The two of us. We want a bigger share of that. Okay? So this growth will mark the fourth industrial revolution going forward. And number two, I said I'm going to come back to robotics. And I'm going to show you something that talks and looks at exactly what that is all about, wherein a greater part of what humans do will be done by robotics. Did you hear what I said? Can I repeat that? It's a very important line not to miss. Robotics would help for us to have what people would do, a part of what people would do being done by machines, if you like. So think about a replacement of yourself by a machine. Now, a practical way that I saw it fit to show to you is what is happening in the employment sector, or what is also going to happen in the employment sector. Tap your name on the shoulder and say, neighbor, be expectant of what's coming around the robotics. Some of these things don't ask for permission. And again, one debate I think the best somebody's talking about that. To say, but when was the announcement of the coming of the internet made? I don't know. Was there ever an announcement? Internet is coming. Internet is coming. Not only that, were we ever called in a public debate? You know, we have public debates and dialogues and all that. Were we ever called to a public dialogue and say, and I think that's why we appreciate the World Economic Forum, because I think to some great extent they're doing just that, involving critical stakeholders to have discussions with the 4.0 IR going forward. Okay, robotics. And I want you to look at what is happening in some countries and what is sure to hit your country and mine in no time. Check this out. Oh yeah, can you get me a sound? Let's do it manually, though we're talking 4IR. Let's go a bit back to the second. Can you just put the mic in? Let's be flexible. Let's go back, pull something from the back, though we're talking about the fourth. Just plug here. Can we? There or here? Or maybe without the sound. I'm looking at my time as well here. Okay, check this out. I don't know why this not playing. Anyway, while they're sorting themselves up, they're sorting out, I've got time to manage on the other hand. What I was going to show you, there's a country called China, and in China there are restaurants. Most restaurants have replaced their workers with robots or robotics. So you have a waiter that is in the form of a robot, okay? They even start from cooking, from the kitchen. They will make an omelette, you call it. Then they're going to breakfast from the kitchen. Those being robotics, not people. Alright? From there, they are able to deliver your food. You order from a robot. A robot comes to you and it has a machine. You punch in the machine there what stuff you want. You tell the robot where you are. Okay? You send it, it goes, place the order for you, get the stuff delivered, made, and then it delivers the stuff back to where you are. That's the time we act. It may not have hit our country as yet, but whether we like it or not, we should grade ourselves up going forward. So we already see a bit of a challenge there going forward. If robotics is going to be the max of our time, it therefore means we have to look at this whole discussion, conversation around jobs in a different light going forward. If robots are going to become to do what I do. For example, if I'm a waiter, in fact, right away, let me see the waiters in the house. People working in restaurants as we speak in the house. Oh, so nobody's working for a restaurant. Where is it? Okay. So you're working for a restaurant. You need to start looking at how you're going to make sure that if that job, not if, when that job is being taken over by a robot, what is it or what else can you then do going forward? Otherwise, we'll be without jobs. At Bilga spoke something about the job discussions to say, going forward, in the next 25 years, we are going to, it's an estimate they are making based on the research they made, that all the developed nations on earth will see job loss rates of up to 47% within the next 25 years. And there are other findings from other companies and institutes which are bringing 25 years a bit closer. In fact, we know in our country, STD Bank, Standard Bank tried, I don't know if that's still in their discussion, to look into ways of retrenching other people, and all because of exactly this. So it's not a discussion that's way far-fetched. It is with us, it is within us, and what is important about this is preparation, not just knowing, but how do we prepare to make sure that we are benefiting out of all this. Right. Self-driving cars is also something that is coming. Good God. The software is not compatible. Did you hear that? So there has to be compatibility of the softwares for all this to work. It's okay. So look, going forward, we are going to have driverless cars. Okay, can I rephrase? We do have driverless cars. A car that drives itself. Awufuni stress sokuthi umane unaka namaloboto. Fire. All you are preoccupied about so you lock yourself up in a driverless car, it drives you. You're going to see this, it's going to be beautiful for you to see. Okay, but go to YouTube, check that up, you will see what's happening. It may not be here in the country as yet, but it is coming in our country as well. Okay, there are trucks which are driverless, right? There are drones which transport medication and sort of other stuff from one place to the other without anybody driving it inside of it. Some farmings will not have abantu abasebenzayo going forward. You know, farms. Drones that will be working there, shelling, watering the farm, and doing all other duties that are done in a farm, that being done by a drone. So you can sit here in your smart device, and that's a new keyword in this revolution. Smartphone. There's smart cities. Grant Codrington talks about smart nations in 2030. Smart this, keep heading. Smart that, smart the other. So with a smart device, you'll be able to do a lot of other stuff and make sure that you, in terms of driving, it takes you wherever you want to go. Right? Google developed one of those cars. You go in there, it's a taxi. You book it with a device, with your phone, it comes to you, it gets your location, it picks you up, it takes you to where you are going. You sit at the back or in the front, all you do is continue whatever conversation you have, it takes you exactly there. It can seize the road, it has cameras all around it, it sees the road, it sees the robots, it sees people, it can indicate and go right, all by itself, and go left. It can parks, gets a good space, and parks, all by itself. Think about that. Anybody who wishes to have been there during the time of Paul's? I'm just checking, I want to check something. Paul's and Silas, anybody who really wished to have been back then? You see? Come on. Back then. Okay, sorry, not Paul. Did I say Paul? I meant to say Moses. Yeah, he had much glory, that man from God. Anybody who wished to have lived back in the time? You don't want to? You're okay here? You're okay here? Okay, to be driven by cars. Lovely, let's move further afield. If you look at the 3D and nanotechnology, put those together, you'll realize that based on a research made by a company called Organovo, and this is how things can go to the platforms and search it up and read